It's Tuesday, April 10th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we talk to DPW Director Dan Santos about the Marston's Mills Streetscape Plan, and he has an update on the sidewalk repair. Sarah Beal checks in with Bud Brialt, manager of the Barnstable Municipal Airport. Let's start with some news you can use. Barnstable Intermediate School English teacher Mick Carlin recently received the Cape Cod Council of the International Literacy Association's Celebrate Literacy Award for 2018. The Celebrate Literacy Award recognizes organizations, institutions, and individuals that have made significant literacy contributions at the local, state, or provincial level. The hope is that the celebration will familiarize the public with literacy activities in the community and call attention to the work that is being done by the schools and the International Literary Association to promote worldwide literacy. In addition to teaching, Carlin is an expert on jazz and a public speaker who has written several books with jazz and history themes. Attention, Cotuit residents. The Cotuit Water Department will be flushing water mains from this week through Friday, June 29th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. through Monday through Friday. Water main flushing is part of a preventative maintenance program being undertaken by the Water Department to ensure that the water quality is not being compromised. Discoloration of the water may occur. This is an unavoidable effect of flushing with an aesthetic value only and is not considered a health hazard. The water should clear after a short period of time. Signs will be visible in flushing areas. Residents in these areas are advised to refrain from laundering between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. and to set water aside for drinking and cooking purposes. All village residents are advised to check water clarity before use while this program is in operation, as water lines outside the flushing area could be affected. Flushing locations will be posted daily on cotuitfiredistrict.org and on Facebook. Please call to Cotuit Water at 508-428-2687 with any questions. And while we are talking about water, the Massachusetts Coastal Coalition has partnered with local resources, state agencies, and other nonprofits to bring information about many needed post-disaster resources to flood-damaged Cape communities. This outreach will help stakeholders who sustained damage during the winter's historic string of nor'easters or others who want more information on flood insurance and what to do after a flooding disaster. The presentation will include a discussion on flood issues after a storm, flood claims, what to do if your property has been substantially damaged, and the flood policy. Sharon Jabreau, CRS and floodplain coordinator for Barnstable County, will provide an update on the status of the community rating system on Cape. There will also be a panel of experts on hand to answer questions and workshops on community resources, claims, and insurance. The event will be held on Wednesday, April 11th at the Cape and Islands Association of Realtors office. That's at 22 Mid-Tech Drive in West Yarmouth. Dan Santos, the DPW Director, gives us an update today on the Marston's Mills Streetscape project and what to expect at the upcoming information meeting. He also reports on the sidewalk repairs progress in Hyannis. On the phone with me is DPW Director Dan Santos. We're going to talk a little bit about the Marston's Mills Streetscape project and an information meeting coming up on April 27th. Hello, Dan. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Excellent. It's one of those days where it's not snowing, so I think it's a good day for the DPW, correct?
Yeah, I hope we've seen the last of that for this year.
Great. I just wanted to give our viewers a little bit of information on the proposed work for the Marston's Mills Streetscape design, and how did this all come about in the village of Marston's Mills?
Well, we've been working on this for probably 4 or 5 years, and frequently we revisit roads around town when we start thinking about improving the road condition. We also look at whether other improvements are necessary. And this is a notorious stretch in Marston's Mills, which is just down from Route 28 and is a kind of an odd intersection with 4 roads coming together, and it was thought that maybe we could improve the situation there. So working with the community. There's been a number of meetings, and the growth at the time, Growth Management Department, now the Planning and Development Department and Public Works, came up with a scheme to improve the road, improve drainage, make it a safer road, and that's really the primary driver in these things is what can we do to increase safety? And usually it's keeping speeds down. So what do we do that's going to be considered traffic calming? And a lot of times we narrow the road, or at least narrow the feel of the road. And one of the things we were going to do here is put some on-street parking in. That's been modified a little bit because to do that we needed easements, and we weren't able to get all the easements we needed. But so it's sidewalks, crosswalks, drainage, new road surface. Associated with this, calm water, put in a new water line recently so they don't have to come back later and dig up the new road. And it should really spruce up that part of the village and make it a nice smooth ride and increase safety. So we're looking forward to getting that done.
That's excellent. I am a millbilly, so I have been a resident of Marston's Mills for 30 years now. That intersection has been problematic as well for bikers and walkers, pedestrians. Can you talk a little bit about how the streetscape's going to help that?
Well, there's going to be extra sidewalk that are handicap accessible. We're not changing the configuration of the road. It just can't be done given the property that the town roads, what's considered the layout. So unfortunately, you're still going to have those two roads coming in at the angles they do. But by calming traffic down, that generally makes it safer. There'll be sidewalks going from basically the River Road all the way down to where the fish run is. So there's no sidewalk there on that side currently, on the west side. So we're going to be adding that.
Well, that's great. Can you talk a little bit about these meetings that you have with the public and why it's important for residents to attend these?
Well, it's important because we want their input. At the end of the day, this is their village, their town, so they should participate as much as they'd like in helping us understand what the issues are and then what they think of the proposed solutions. So that's why it's important for people to attend. And at this meeting, we'll be going over the design. We've had other meetings, and we had a 25% design. This is effectively the final design, and we'll show all the improvements and explain how it's going to work and the time frames and see what people think. So it's something we do regularly with most of our projects.
And you mentioned time frame. You have a couple of time frames already we're not going to say set in stone because construction can never be set in stone.
Well, we're planning to start in the fall, usually right after Labor Day. We'll let the contract in the summer and get all the paperwork out of the way, and they'll begin construction in September and go as long as they can until there's winter weather that doesn't allow that. Sometimes in mild winters we can continue through the winter. Sometimes we can't. If we do have to discontinue in the winter, we'll pick up again in the spring. And we're hoping to get this done in those two construction seasons. We may have to go into the fall, maybe with some final cleanup or some loaming and seeding or some final issues. And that's if all goes well. Things can happen, particularly with the weather that really causes delays. But at this point, that's what we're looking at.
Well, it's a much-needed improvement to Marston's Mills Village. I know that the traffic there has been crazy for the last few years as it becomes more and more of a cut-through from 28 over to the highway for Route 6. So you've got a number of projects, obviously, on the books here, and one that's happening right here in Hyannis is the sidewalk repairs. Can you give us an update of how that work's going?
Yeah, we're continuing what we started last fall, and that was a capital project to increase or improve the crosswalks for handicapped accessibility and to cut out and replace areas of the sidewalks that were considered safety hazards where there were cracks or where something gets lifted up and you have a trip hazard. We're also replacing sidewalks on South Street, and we'll be putting a sidewalk from the Armory parking lot, which is across South Street, up to the town hall door. Right now, people have to walk across the grass, so we're going to put a more formal sidewalk in there. So that's going well. That'll be a couple of weeks, and we'll be done with that project and wrap it up, and we'll have some much improved sidewalks in Hyannis.
It's great for folks that are walking out there. I know some of those tripping hazards I've managed to find myself on the sidewalks over the years. So thanks for all your work, Dan, and thanks for the updates. I
Sure.
really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Take care now.
Okay, bye.
Bud Brialt, manager of Barnstable Municipal Airport, talks with Sarah Beal on some improvements outside of Cape Cod Coffee and some state dollars allocated for the airport.
But thank you so much for joining us today, and I have to say welcome back from vacation. I know you've been away and out and about exploring our wonderful world, but we wanted to check in with the airport because it's been a little bit, and got some exciting things that have been going on that we want to chat about. The first thing we want to talk about is the Airport Commission this past week approved the RFP for the Cape Town Plaza to go out.
Yeah, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
I'm glad to be back and get back into the swing of things. And yes, the RFP that was approved was for what's known as Kmart Plaza or Cape Town Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, that lease doesn't expire until 2024, but this is an effort to try to put it out on the market and to make some sort of an arrangement that we can get a new developer involved.
Mm-hmm.
To start early on the redevelopment of that plaza so that it doesn't continue to deteriorate. So yes, and the full Airport Commission approved the draft RFP, the draft agreement, and the draft lease this past Tuesday night. And so we're putting the final touches to those documents as we speak. And we're hoping to get that advertised or on the street by the middle of April, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm. And this will be a long process because there's, comment period, and so this could go until this RFP could be open until the end of the year, correct?
That's correct. So it was when we advertised it, we were anticipating at least 120 days for the possible developers to be able to put together a comprehensive response to get back to us.
Mm-hmm.
If it, and so we could change that as time goes along, but then you need time to review it. We need to do an appraisal on the property to make sure that we're getting the highest and best use and the fair market value for the property, which we have not been getting for the many years. Mm-hmm. And then there may be an FAA approval process. So we anticipate possibly awarding this to the successful developer proposer by the end of the year.
Wonderful. It's a large property, and it's a very it's in a high vision spot, so it's important. I'm happy to hear that you guys are taking this on and looking at. I know this is something that people have been talking about for years.
Yeah.
This property and what the airport can do with it. So I'm happy to see that this is going forward, and happy that the Airport Commission fully supports this.
Yes, and I wanted to thank the help from the town council. Mm-hmm. The town manager and the Airport Commission, and certainly some key members of the town staff that have been helping us put together these documents. They've been a big help, all of them.
Wonderful. I look forward to talking with you again about this in a few months as the process moves forward. Next thing we want to talk about is JetBlue is coming back to the Hyannis Airport.
Yes, they're coming back for their 5th season, which is awesome.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they're still doing a seasonal return, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get for now, and then we're working with them and trying to get them to come on a larger basis, if
right.
you will, similar to what they do some of the other areas. But they will be returning on Memorial Day weekend on a limited schedule, starting on the 25th of May, and then for a limited basis for the next couple of weeks, and then they'll go full-time on June 14th through Labor Day. So we're very excited that they are indeed coming back.
Wonderful. It's always so good to hear, and it's such an exciting event. And it's so cool seeing such a large aircraft at the airport. I know I've seen it land and take off quite a few times, and it's kind of an amazing thing to see. Any aircraft that takes off from the airport is cool, but I mean, to see one of those JetBlue planes come in and take off is pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
It is.
Especially when you see how easily they get off and how limited the amount of runway that they use. It's incredible.
It is. Also, we want to talk about Cape Cod Coffee. I mean, they've been there probably, I think, since November. I know I've been quite a few times there. I've had their coffee. I've had their donuts. I know I've talked about their donuts many times. If you haven't been, go and get a donut. They're well worth the trip. And they're working towards getting a patio.
Yes, and they want to set up a patio out front of the terminal, and we got some money to be able to put in a door access from the cafe out to the patio. So there would be a patio with tables and chairs and umbrellas so that everybody could sit out there and enjoy the fresh air and have a cup of coffee, or when they get their liquor license, to be able to have a drink if they are so inclined. And then while you're there, you can watch the aircraft coming in and out.
What a fun idea, and I love the fact that they're looking towards, expanding their business and including, being able to have a drink there and having the patio outside. I think, on a nice, cool, like summer evening, just to sit out at the airport and watch the planes take off and, just kind of relax. I think that's really exciting, and I know I can't wait to do that. So
yeah, we're all excited that they're going to do that. We're excited they're even here,
right?
Which was awesome, and now they're expanding and moving in a different direction. So we're very excited about that.
It's wonderful. We also want to talk about you recently are receiving some federal grant funds to do a few repairs to the airport. A garage door and some drainage. What can you tell us about this?
I want to say about 3-4 weeks ago, we got the word from Massachusetts Department of Transportation that there were some projects within the state that couldn't be completed before the end of the fiscal year. So some monies became available, and we submitted I want to say we submitted 7 or 8 projects to them as potentials. The problem is that they have to be completed before the end of June. So that we can stay within the state fiscal year. And so of those 7 or 8 projects that we submitted, they approved 5. One of them is that they will be doing a statewide paint contract, which will be included in. That will save us about $75,000 this year, which is awesome.
That's
and
amazing.
Then they're also going to fund 4 other projects at about 80% reimbursement rate, which is 80% that we would have had to pay would we have been required to do these projects on our own, because most of them don't normally get these grant funds. One is to replace all of the garage doors on our aircraft rescue and firefighting building, which was that was going to take us many years to do it one door at a time.
Wow.
And that's about a $250,000 project. We're also looking at doing some drainage repairs to our aircraft parking ramps around what we call Hangar 2, which is one of the hangars that's being used by Cape Air. And so it's been a drainage problem there because of the way this airport was constructed many years ago. That is an area where a lot of the water from the ramps all goes over there and causes some flooding. So we're hoping to do a complete relook and redo of the drainage system around that entire area, and that's all being paid. 80% is being paid for by the state, which was awesome.
That's amazing.
And we're getting a new attachment to our tractors that will help us mulch some of the things that we need to keep cut down for airport safety. And I remember the fourth one. I can't remember. It's off the top of my head at the moment.
That's okay. You're just back from vacation, you got still on vacation time, I'm sure.
That was the patio door.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I just remembered.
Well, I think it's wonderful. There's so many great things happening at the airport. I know with the warmer weather, you're going to get even busier because the warm season, people are going to be flying to and from the islands, to and from Boston. So I look forward to, the busy season coming up for you guys. And thank you so much for taking your time today to chat with us.
My pleasure, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bud. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
My guest today is Bud Brielt. He's the airport manager here in Barnstable.
Let's take a look at what's on our community calendar. The Cotuit Center for the Arts' Second Wednesday Theater will present a staged reading of The Riding on Duke's Train, a screenplay by local author, teacher, and jazz aficionado Mick Carlin on Wednesday, April 11th at 7:30 p.m. Admission is free. Ed Toole directs. Bark for the Park, fundraiser for the Barnstable Dog Park. Join the committee for a Barnstable Dog Parks on April 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. in support of the Barnstable Dog Park currently being built at the entrance to Hathaway's Pond. Meet the committee that's been toiling to bring this vision to life. Find out how you can help. If you want, get added to their mailing list for updates. This is a dog-friendly dog event at Cape Cod Beer where there'll be something for everyone. Food, beer, treats, and other dog-themed stuff. Outside under the tent, so dress accordingly. Need to feed your soul? Go discover the Craigville Coffee House open mic at the Centerville Library. Tuesday, April 10th, 6 to 8. Music and poetry, 6 to 8. Performers sign up at 5:30. All ages welcome. It's hosted by Kim Mogert. Piano accompaniment with Misayo Koyomo will be available. Please provide sheet music. A donation to the local food pantry is appreciated. It's in the Coyle Community Room on the lower level. And now, let's take a look at this week's meeting schedule. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow for interviews with the Barnstable Police Department and Madeline Noonan, Director of Senior Services at the Town of Barnstable. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.